Hi, my name is Luke, and I'm a rising senior at Mission San Jose High School. So, for the past 3 weeks, I've been working on image recognition using Raspberry Pi. So, I feel like I learned a lot throughout this process, and I really like to thank Bluestamp for giving me this opportunity to get a head start on the AI and machine learning. And yeah, so what I did to complete this project, I'll just kind of go over what I did in milestone 1 and milestone 2. So milestone 1, I had to find a model that I could use to train and predict the images. So the first thing I did was find like a model that was compatible with Google Colab, and it would successfully predict whether the image I fed it was a dog or a cat. And then that was my first step in the milestone 1, and my second step was to like understand the syntax and the what each code section did in the model. So I had to research a lot about the TensorFlow documentation, which took a long time because like not being I've never been exposed to TensorFlow or any like AI or machine learning thing. So reading up on like the different syntax and code blocks, that was really tough. And Fred, my TA, actually helped me through and guided me to explain what each code block did. So my third part in milestone 1 was to speed up the training process in like while I was training the model, since it took like maybe 5 minutes per epoch or image set to train. That was a little too long, so I decided to switch to a GPU accelerator, which lowered it down to 1 minute 30 seconds, and that was a really great time saver. And the fourth step in my milestone 1 was to save and load the model. So without having to train it every time I wanted to uh, choose the image that I wanted to predict, I could just save it and load it onto another notebook. So to save it, uh, that was probably like the hardest part, or no, that was probably like the second hardest part in my milestone 1 subtasks, because I had to research a lot and find the syntax for finding it and saving it in the same directory and then loading it from that directory. And that also saved a lot of time since I wouldn't have to constantly retrain the model. So for milestone 2, it was a lot shorter than milestone 1 because it was just like converting everything from Google Colab to Raspberry Pi and just setting up the Raspberry Pi camera. Uh, Converting everything from Google Colab to Raspberry Pi was actually kind of a long process because a lot of errors came up, like like a Hadoop file system error, which I had no idea what it was, and also a memory allocation error, which also took probably like, maybe like 6 hours or something to troubleshoot. And I finally found like this correct syntax that would help me suppress the warnings. And for the Hadoop file system, that also took a pretty decent amount of time. It was just something with my TensorFlow not being completely updated, so I had to research a lot of websites, and I found the syntax in Linux to update my TensorFlow. So uh, that was for the. Oh, okay. Also, I wanted to add that I had to remove a lot of the Google Colab syntax when I converted it to Raspberry Pi, since I obviously could not use something like from Google.colab import something since I was using on Raspberry Pi IDE. So yeah, that was another trimming thing I had to do. And for the camera part, it was actually a really easy setup. It probably took like 5 minutes to set, or probably less than 5 minutes. But I was able to take a picture of my household items and then feed it into the model, and then it outputted that it was not a dog. So that's what I did for milestone 1 and 2, and I was not able to do multi-classification as much as I wanted to. But I'm for sure going to do that outside of Bluestamp, and because I feel like it would be a really cool like addition to my image recognition project to be able to like recognize and classify other objects besides just a dog or a cat. Yeah, and yeah, that's definitely going to be my next step. Thank you for listening, and cool.